Welcome into the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Today we bring in a co-hostess. A co-hostess with the mostest. Ladies and gentlemen, she's intelligent, she's witty, she's pretty easy on the eyes. She's also very funny. Ladies and gentlemen, she has 3 books out there. Count them. A 1, a 2, a 3. 3 books out there. And she has a wonderful trip coming up to the Palmer House Hotel coming up this weekend. It's a manifestation trip in which you can manifest what you need for the new year. And being this is New Year's Day, ladies and gentlemen, you should probably get on that. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, Jessica Freeburg. Hi, Jess.
Hey, happy 2025, Tim.
Happy 2025. And by the way, it's also the anniversary of the show today.
Oh my gosh. How old are we? 19?
2006 is when this whole thing jumped off.
That's crazy.
Wow. I just had to take a moment. Wow.
I know. It's really something to think that it's been going for almost 20 years.
Yeah. It's hard to believe it's 2025 already.
I know. I kind of don't like that. That makes me feel quite old.
I don't feel old at all. I don't feel any old.
You don't?
No, I don't feel any older than I did back when I was 27. Yeah. But no, I think it's the passing of the years, which is interesting.
They go faster and faster, I feel like. Do you feel that way?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah. But it's it's funny, the old saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true. It's you start to see things repeat in history and not much changes. I mean, it really doesn't. A lot of things repeat and you just go, wow, that's really stupid.
Yeah. We're doing it again.
We're doing it again. Why are we doing it again? I thought we learned from that. And you just kind of get disappointed by it.
That's true.
Yeah. You're like, why did that come back? I thought we learned from that. Why did that come back?
As long as like giant bangs don't come back.
I bet, you know what? It seems like every 40, 50 years something comes back. We're due.
Can you imagine? I don't even know how that became a trend back when it was literally like the whole can of Aquanet and the rat, you ratted it so it'd be as high as possible. And my bus driver had like the biggest bangs on the bus, one of candy.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you see around the rearview mirror? Got the
All,
biggest.
all these girls with giant bangs.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just very
But
interesting.
that was like 30 something years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I had someone ask me the other day, have you had such and such a guest on? And I had to think to
Yeah.
myself, have we? Because you start thinking, have we? And the easiest, so folks, the easiest way, if you ever think, have you had such and such a guest on? Easiest way to do it, go to darknessradioshow.com and just click in the search. There should be a search and look it up. And if it doesn't pop up, chances are we might still have, because
Yeah.
there's a few years that are missing out of there. But if it doesn't pop up right away, well, then chances are no. Although there's a few years that are missing out of there. But chances are, yeah, we probably have.
That's crazy. If you stop and think about 19 years of interviews and I I wonder how many people you have had on the show. Not that I want you to do math right now, but it's got to be crazy, a crazy number of people.
I know there have been almost 3,000 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, because there's about 1,000 episodes that haven't been posted to the website.
Now, if you could go back in time, Tim, 19 years ago, to
Mm-hmm.
young little Timmy,
Young little Timmy. Yep.
and give him some advice or tell him something about this show, what would it be?
That I can say on air.
No. That's probably.
uh, 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 mm,
Do you think that you thought that it would go this long back in the day when he started?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just the only thing I can think of is to be a little more aware of coming trends. That's all.
Hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
And to be not coming trends, but to be a little more savvy of a little more savvy and a little more aware of marketing opportunity.
Mm.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a hard one because when you're starting out, you're thinking like just the nuts and bolts of what you have to do. But yeah, marketing is
The marketing
important.
the marketing thing was easy at the beginning. It's harder now. It's harder to market your show, and the reason being is that everybody caught up. So,
Mhm.
um, I mean, everybody and their mother and brother has a podcast now. I mean, we were in on the ground floor. So, and just real quick, so we were a radio show. We were an actual radio show on a radio station, right? And podcasts were literally a throwaway product, like
Yeah.
that were included with a radio show. So it was, you heard a radio show, and oh, by the way, if you want the archive or if you want to listen to the archive of this, it's available on podcast on our website. So you might have 40 people, 30 people, or 40 people that would go listen to the podcast. And then we figured out a way to go from 30 or 40 people to a few hundred to 250,000 to 300,000 to 500,000. And it was, I mean, but at that time, you had between 10 to 12 podcasts, paranormal podcasts. That was it.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much out there. And you had a big syndicated show, which was Coast to Coast AM,
Right.
right? So there was nothing there. So there wasn't much for competition. Now go look at Google as to how many paranormal podcasts are out there. Everybody has one.
There's a lot. Yeah.
And it's because recording equipment is cheap, and there's no regulation of the internet, and there's no, it's the Wild West. So anybody can jump on and do a podcast. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, it's like the ham radio of you know, of its day. So everyone can do it. And that's fine. But it's a matter of wills. It's a test of wills, right? Who's going to in it's a test of quality. Who's going to keep going? Who's going to keep,
Mm.
who's going to keep putting out content? Who's going to keep successfully doing it? And somebody had asked me in an interview a few years back, well, when does it peter out? When does the bottom fall out? And I said, the minute I said the bottom falls out with most people when podcast hosts get tired of interviewing podcast hosts,
Mm.
because you're going to get to that point where there's a certain echelon of podcast hosts that'll have access to authors, specialists, TV people, movie people, and that's one level. And then the next level is podcast hosts interviewing podcast hosts, and they'll get sick and tired of it and they'll drop out of the game.
Yeah.
And then you'll just have this one level left, and that will be the game. And then it'll, water seeks its own level, right? And that'll be it. That'll be that'll be it. That'll be self-regulation of podcasting, which it eventually will do. But when that happens, I don't know. Because I see new podcasts all the time.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Somebody wants to jump in and do it, that's fine. Is there a lot of money in it? No, it just isn't. Not
Yeah.
now. Not now. Um, there will be, or there can be. There's ways to make it, but you just have to. You just have to know how. So that's it.
Yeah, well, you're in it for the long haul, sir.
That's right. In it for the long haul.
You're the OG.
Yeah. And I still got 1 foot in radio. So there you go.
I
Yeah.
remember like 11 years ago coming into the radio station. I just remember how different it was and what it's become now. And I think what it's become now is wonderful and I love it. And I have so much fun with you.
Thank you. Well, I have fun with you as well. And I have a lot of fun doing the show still. It's a different animal now, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
it's definitely still a lot of fun. Definitely still a lot of fun. We got an exciting show today for Supernatural News on this anniversary edition. Um, and I have some new ideas for this year too. So we're gonna implement some new ideas, not today per se, but down the line in this next year. Um, I have some interesting ideas. By the way, Supernatural News and Parashare. No Parashare stories today, but um, we might start with some shorter, scary stories that may become part of Supernatural News. Some short, scary stories. We may implement those here in the future. Um, that may become part of the show. We may have some other things that we'll implement as part of Supernatural News as well. So we've got some new things that we may try here as part of Supernatural News as well coming up during the next year. Let's start it off. We'll start off with UFO and alien news. And by the way, during the program today, Jess, um, we've got a couple of lists for this year. Last year with Bruiser, we had done some, and we'll cover it tomorrow, but I've got my handy pad of paper here, Jess. So be prepared. I'm going to ask you to go into your brain here, your psychic brain. So turn on your psychic senses. So I got a piece of paper here. I'm going to write down your psychic predictions for 2025.
All right.
So off the top of your head, I want you to think of at least 5 things. And I'll think of 5 things for 2025 that you predict are going to happen in the next year. Because we've got 2 stories today of one is, of course, Nostradamus. For some reason, Nostradamus has been dead for hundreds of years, but people are still picking for 2025 what Nostradamus has predicted for us. And then the new Nostradamus supposedly has predictions out there as well. So we'll talk about that today. And in other stories, we talk a little bit about what's left there in the future. And then we have a literally at the end of the show, we have a palate cleanser that will break a body part. That's the end of our program today. We'll tell you about that at the end of the program. But we've got some lists today from unexplainedmysteries.com, top stories of the year. So we'll talk about some of the top stories of the year, paranormal stories of the year, cryptid stories of the year, etc. So that's coming up as well today. So we'll start it off. Joe Rogan claims that President Trump or President-elect Trump is too cagey to release the UFO files to the public. I doubt this one right off the top of the bat, but let's find out about it. Speculation has been rife in recent weeks over whether or not President Trump will disclose data about the UFO phenomena. The question is, will President-elect Donald Trump release everything the U.S. government has been hiding about UFOs when he returns to the White House in a few weeks' time? Earlier this year, while speaking on the Lex Friedman podcast, the 78-year-old seemed quite enthusiastic about the subject and expressed a willingness to see to it that the more UFO-related classified material was released to the general public should he win the U.S. election in November. Friedman had asked the president, will you help push the Pentagon to release more footage, which a lot of people claim is available? The president then said, oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I would do that. I would love to do that. I have to do that, Trump replied, while suggesting that there could be life on other planets. It's certainly not the first time that Trump touched upon the topic, having mentioned it even during the final days of his previous term back in office back in 2020. A lot of my friends are very concerned about what the federal government is doing when it comes to UFOs, Fox Business host Lou Dobbs said to him. Are you going to commit more resources to exploring UFOs and opening the documents to the public? Trump replied, well, I think probably in this country, you're the UFO expert, so I'm going to be totally guided by the great Lou Dobbs, he went on to say. And I will tell you that I'll do whatever you ask me to do, including total transparency. More recently, though, doubts have been cast over whether he will actually be as forthcoming regarding UFO disclosure as he had previously made out. When I confronted Mr. Trump during a recent interview, he was very cagey, very cagey. He didn't tell me blank, podcast host Joe Rogan said on Tuesday. It was basically like neither confirm nor deny. I think he knows something. I just don't think he's interested, Joe Rogan went on to say. With that in mind, Jess, what do you think? Do you think that 2025 is a year of disclosure?
So my prediction for 2025 in this area of paranormal news, I think we're just going to be placated like we always are. I just don't think they're ever going to really give us the full information that we really want to have, but they might give us little niblets of it to maybe make us happy.
Is that one of your official?
That's one of my official. Yeah.
One of your official. So dribs and drabs of disclosure.
Little dribbles.
Okay. All right. I'm putting that down as one of yours. Okay. Our next story has to do with a military witness who describes an encounter with a very bright and silent UFO. The mysterious object was so bright that it lit up the night sky and made absolutely no noise whatsoever. Submitted to the National UFO Reporting Center, or NUFORC, back in November, the encounter itself took place in October at a campsite somewhere in the Santa Rosa Mountains in California. According to the witness, who remains anonymous, the strangeness began at around 11 p.m. I was the only camper or hunter in the area that night, and it was pitch black out, he recalled. Instantly, everything, all natural animal insect noises, went completely silent, and the entire area lit up brighter than the brightest full moon I've ever seen. But I knew it wasn't the moon because I had already located the moon prior to that, and it was a dimly lit waning gibbous, he went on to say. Thinking a really quiet truck was pulling into the campground with its headlights on, I peeked out from under the tarp and saw a stationary bright white light about 20 to 30 foot in length, about the size of a medium-sized helicopter, but with the light encompassing the entire object, hovering at the treetop level behind an about 30 to 40 foot tall pine tree about 100 yards away. It made absolutely no noise, didn't pulsate or move, and it did not radiate any sort of heat. It was about 40 degrees Fahrenheit that evening. I observed it for at least a minute before fear took over, and I sank back down into the bed of my truck and into my sleeping bag. When he next looked out, it was about 2:30 a.m., and there was no further sign of the object. Strangely, he decided to spend a second night at the same location because he had been unable to recall that anything had happened until around 2 days later. I've backpacked and hunted the backcountry routinely for the past 15 years, spent over 25 years in the military, and have never experienced anything like this before, he added. As things stand, exactly what he witnessed that night continues to remain a complete mystery. Interesting story. That's for sure. It's about status quo for a UFO sighting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Our next story has to do with NASA's Parker Solar Probe, which is attempting to do a record-breaking flyby of the sun. The probe has spent Christmas Eve attempting to fly closer to the sun than any other spacecraft in history. It was named after American solar astrophysicist Eugene Parker, who originally predicted the existence of the solar wind. The Parker Solar Probe, which launched back in 2018, is on a fantastic journey like no other. A mission to the very heart of the solar system to learn the secrets of the sun itself. Built to withstand extreme temperatures and moving at speeds of 320,000 miles per hour, the probe is designed to survive its close encounters with the sun by dipping into the corona for only brief periods. However, it will be attempting its closest approach yet, and has, back on Christmas Eve, venturing within 3.8 million miles of the sun on a Christmas Eve flyby that will test the probe to its absolute limits. To add to the apprehension the team must be feeling right now, NASA will not receive the beacon tone signal to indicate that the probe survived the flyby until December 27th, which, by the way, is already passed. No human-made object has ever passed this close to the star, so Parker will truly be returning data from uncharted territory, says Mission Operations Manager Nick Pinkine. We're excited to hear back from the spacecraft when it swings back around the sun. While 3.8 million miles might seem a long way off from the sun, at this distance, the probe will be passing through the corona, which is hundreds of times hotter than the surface itself. If the probe does survive, it will have to perform 2 more increasingly daring flybys next year. This is one example of NASA's bold missions, doing something that no one else has ever done before to answer long-standing questions about our universe, said program scientist Eric Posner. So kind of interesting. We don't have any further update as to whether that probe actually survived that flyby or not. We'll know more here in the coming weeks. So there you go.
Cool stuff.
So we have the first of those lists I was talking about, Unexplained Mysteries Top 10 UFO Stories of 2024. These are the most popular UFO stories from the last 12 months. Number 10 is actually scientists claim to have solved the World War II Foo Fighters UFO mystery. And this isn't the one about Dave Grohl having a kid out of wedlock, so don't get worried about that. During World War II, pilots on both sides reported witnessing strange phenomena in the skies over Europe and beyond. That was number 10. Number 9 was the Pentagon allegedly having a video of a UFO disabling a nuclear missile. An unreleased video reportedly exists that shows an unknown object interfering with a nuclear missile. Number 8 is a mysterious jellyfish UFO filmed floating over a U.S. military base. The object, which was only visible using thermal imaging cameras, seems to have appendages dangling from its underside. And actually, George Knapp's new show on Netflix shows that video. So you can see that on that new show. MUFON unveils unidentifiable alien material at its annual symposium. That's the number 7 story of the year. The MUFON, or Mutual UFO Network, showed off mysterious material that is thought to be from an alien spacecraft. The number 6 story of the year, an anonymous witness of Shag Harbor UFO shares deathbed confession. The witness, known only as John Doe, was one of several to see a strange object over Canada more than 50 years ago. Number 5, the Pentagon releases a report on a pilot UFO encounter over the Gulf of Mexico. The Pentagon's UFO office has reached a conclusion about the nature of an object observed over Eglin late last year. Number 4, workers spot a large dark metallic disc over Red Rocks Amphitheater. The iconic Colorado venue was the scene of a UFO sighting involving multiple witnesses back in June. The third story this year in the top 10 in 2024, a former aide claims he was briefed in an otherworldly technologies store, or otherworldly technologies rather. A former senior advisor maintains that he was told about alien technology by a top CIA official. The second story of the year has to do with UFO witnesses testifying at a congressional hearing on November 13th. The hearing will give several prominent witnesses the opportunity to detail their own experiences. And the number 1 story of 2024 having to do with UFOs is that the mystery deepened as police UAV evaded during a pursuit of 50 drones. A police department in New Jersey reported that a drone had sent up, or had, let me reread that. A police department in New Jersey reported that a drone it had sent up to investigate was unable to apprehend the object. So there were 50 drones up there. They sent one up to try to apprehend the drones, but it had evaded that particular drone. So there you go. Those are the top 10 UFO stories for 2024. All right. Our final story before we go to break has to do with, again, there's a little bit of Christmas still mixed in here this year, Jess. People want to know. I don't know. Did you check out the NORAD radar on Christmas Eve to track Santa? Do you ever do that, or did you do that with your kids?
We did when the kids were littler, but we did not this year.
Didn't this year?
No.
A researcher wants to calculate how fast Santa was going on Christmas Eve. Now, I mean, in order for Santa to go around the world and obviously get to all kids, you have to figure out just how fast Santa travels, right? With the reindeer.
You'd have to go really fast.
You would think in order to make it all over the world, right? So just how fast would Santa have to go in order to deliver all the presents within the space of one evening? According to Laura Nicole Dreesen, she says, with billions of children around the world anxiously waiting for their presents, Father Christmas or Santa and his reindeer must be traveling at breakneck speeds to deliver them all in one night. But did you know that light from an object traveling at high speeds changes color? This is thanks to what's called the Doppler effect, the way speed affects the length of waves, such as sound or light. When light changes color due to speed, we call it red shift or blue shift, depending on the direction. If we could catch the color of Rudolph's famous nose with one of our telescopes, we could use the Doppler effect to measure the speed of Father Christmas. So here's how that might work and why this effect is also crucial in astronomy. So how far does Father Christmas and his reindeer need to travel? Well, here's the deal. There's approximately 2 billion children under the age of 14 in the world. I don't know why you have to be under 14 to get a gift from Santa, but I'll play ball. Approximately 93% of countries observe Christmas in some way, so we'll assume that 93% of children do. So we know Father Christmas only delivers presents to those who truly believe. If we assume the same percentage of believers by age group as found in the U.S. are that, and that leaves us with approximately 690 million children. That's a lot of kids.
A lot of kids.
Yeah. With about 2.3 children per household worldwide, he has to visit roughly 300 million households. It's a lot of houses. Spreading those households evenly across 69 million square kilometers of habitable land area on Earth, taking oceans, deserts, Antarctica, and mountains into account, Father Christmas has to travel 144 million kilometers on Christmas Eve. That's nearly the same as the distance from the Earth to the sun. That doesn't seem feasible if we think about it. But before you get your skeptic hat on, follow us on this. Luckily, Father Christmas has time zones on his side. So with 35 hours between dropping off the first and the last present, there's a little bit of time here. So slow your roll before you think that he can't do all this. So let's say Santa uses half his time to zip in and out of each household, which gives him 17.5 hours total, or 0.2 milliseconds per household. That's why you never see him, Jesse, so fast.
And how does he eat the cookies and drink the milk, Tim?
Oh, you got to be quick. Just saying. He uses the other 17.5 hours for traveling between households. So the hypothesis is that he needs to travel at a whopping 8.2 million kilometers per hour, or 0.8% of the speed of light, to drop off the presents. That's fast.
That's wicked fast.
That was very East Coast of you. That's wicked fast. That's a wicked pissa it is. So let's say we want to actually measure the speed of Santa's journey to see if it matches the hypothesis. A standard speed camera wouldn't do the trick, but we have telescopes on Earth that can measure the color of something by using spectrometry. That's a long word to say. Father Christmas's lead reindeer, Rudolph, has a famously ruby red nose. So if we could observe Santa with telescopes, we could use the color of Rudolph's nose to measure his speed using the Doppler effect, which describes how speed affects wavelength. That's because Rudolph's nose wouldn't quite look so red if you were traveling at high speeds, right? So the Doppler effect, good example of this is the sound of an ambulance. When it goes past you on a street, the sound is higher pitched as it approaches. It's lower pitched as it drives away. That's because the ambulance travels towards you and the sound waves are compressed to a shorter wavelength, and a shorter wavelength means a higher pitch. The same thing happens with light. Source of light is traveling away from you. The wavelength is stretched out, becomes more of a red or red shifted. as the source of light is traveling towards you. As the wavelength is compressed and the light becomes more blue or blue shifted as it goes away. Red colored light has a wavelength of 694.3 nanometers when it's at rest, which means it isn't moving. This would be a measurement of a stationary Rudolph. So when it's at rest, 694.3 nanometers. So let's say that Santa would prefer to deliver presents fast, so he could relax with some milk and cookies at the end of a night. He gets his reindeer to run much faster than is hypothesized at 10% of the speed of light, or 107 million kilometers per hour. Are we confused yet?
I was confused a long time ago, Tim.
Okay, good. At this speed, Rudolph's nose would be blue shifted to bright orange, or 624 nanometers, as he's flying towards your house. And it would be red shifted to a very dark red, 763 nanometers, as he's moving away. The darkest red human eyes can see at around 780 nanometers. At these speeds, Rudolph's nose would be almost black. So you really wouldn't see his red nose. See?
That's not very helpful in the dark.
I know, right? So the Doppler effect has a role in astronomy. So, astronomers use the Doppler effect to measure how things move in space. So we can see if a star is orbiting another star in what's known as a binary system. So we can also use it to find exoplanets or planets orbiting stars other than our sun, using a method called radial velocity. We can use it to measure the distances to faraway galaxies. There are some things science just can't explain, and one of those things is the magic of Santa Claus. But if astronomers ever catch Rudolph with their telescopes, they'll be sure to let everyone know. So there you go. In other words, sometimes you can't point at the sky and say, there's Rudolph, because his nose is black because he's going so fast. So when the kids ask, Mommy, how come I can't see Rudolph in the sky? It's because his nose is black because he's traveling so fast.
That makes perfect sense.
See, it's the Doppler effect. Tell the kids about the Doppler.
I'll try to explain it just as clearly as you did.
Okay. Just tell them Rudolph's nose is red when he's sitting still. But as he takes off, it gets blue because he travels so fast.
Okay.
But the faster he gets, the blacker it becomes. And Santa's got to go really fast to get around the world.
I imagine Santa's face is just like pulled back,
Yeah, it stretches all the way around his head. And it becomes a big face stretch like Plastic Man or Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. All right, when we come back from break, it turns out that ChatGPT isn't as sturdy as we thought it was. We'll tell you why the sucker broke down this past week. We got that in our belt. We'll tell you about the rise of the killer refrigerators as well.
No.
Do you have an AI refrigerator at home?
I don't know how what qualifies as an AI refrigerator?
Do you know the ones that tell you that you need new milk? Have you seen?
No, I don't have one of those. No.
All right. Well, if you've got one of those at home, it's probably going to kill you. I'm just saying. We'll tell you about why you should fear your fridge coming up in the next segment. There's a new haunted house on the market, Jess. We'll tell you about that. So save your pennies.
And buy it.
Yeah, you can look forward to that. There's an interesting story out there. It starts with this headline. I live in a cemetery alongside corpses. My house is also home to ghosts. I'll tell you about that story when we come back. We've got more lists for you, including the top 10 cryptozoological headlines. That's coming up. Jess and I will make 5 predictions each for that. Well, she's already given you one. She'll make four more predictions for the coming year. I'll give you predictions as well as the living Nostradamus who made 7 eerie prophecies for 2025, including disease-resistant humans. That's an interesting one. I don't know how we're going to pull that one off, but we will. And we'll talk about sex in space, dolphin style. You heard that right. That's coming up after the break right here on Supernatural News and Parashare on a Wednesday. It's the anniversary edition right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Right over there, our co-hostess with the mostest, Jessica Freeburg. Jess, it's been a beautiful week so far in the Twin Cities. It's been warmer than usual, although it's been a little foggy. It's reminded me.
Oh, super foggy.
Yeah. I'm afraid to go outside with any type of ball, tennis ball, football, and throw it. I'll never find it again. Yeah.
I'm afraid of what's going to come out of the fog. It's like a scary movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does remind me of The Fog, the movie. You know, you're bringing up a good point here. I'm afraid to go outside now.
This is the kind of fog when the kids would be walking to the bus or walking to school. I'd be like, be careful of the monsters that live in the fog.
Right, yeah. And then they'd be like, Mom, that's really weird. No, don't say that in front of my friends. I have a reputation to uphold.
Yeah, always embarrassing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know, you should take the opportunity. I mean, you've gone through the trouble of having kids. Take the opportunity to embarrass them at every turn. So
I had them.
Yeah. I mean, why have the kids if you can't embarrass them, right? And that's really a lesson for life. Yeah. So, I mean, you should dance like Elaine on Seinfeld to any music they play in the background. I mean, that's one of the things you want to do for them. You know, anything that really, really makes you happy. I'm just saying, oh, God, I said the word. I said happy. And then here it comes, the AI music. Well, Jess, I suppose AI music comes up. It means it's time to talk about that godforsaken topic. By the way, we got a little victory this week. Little victory. As ChatGPT took a shit. That's all I can say. They took a shit on Thursday afternoon, although they recovered from it. They had a little outage on Thursday afternoon. See, it's not infallible.
No.
Although, should we be depending on AI if it breaks down that easy?
No. We should not even notice it broke down because we barely use it.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, if you don't use ChatGPT on a normal basis, you probably didn't even realize that ChatGPT stopped working on Thursday afternoon when the chatbot suddenly couldn't respond to queries, with some users seeing an internal server error message. Some people's world stopped on Thursday. Mine did not. It looks like the outage started at around 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time last Thursday, which is when reports began to spike on Down Detector. At 2 p.m. Eastern Time, OpenAI posted an update to its status page saying ChatGPT, the API, and its text-to-video generator, Sora, are currently experiencing high error rates. OpenAI said Sora came back online at 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time. We're seeing a full recovery for ChatGPT at around 11 p.m. Eastern Time. OpenAI didn't specify the upstream provider linked to the issue, but its exclusive cloud provider, Microsoft, reported a power issue at one of its data centers that started around the same time as the OpenAI problems and affected North America and problems with Xbox cloud gaming. Well, then we're all screwed if we can't play Xbox. I'm just saying. I mean,
that would be a problem at my house.
Yeah. The Xbox is down, so we're all going to just cry ourselves to sleep. Just after 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Microsoft said it had fully restored power to the affected data center. ChatGPT had gone down a few times in the past several months. Well, that's not reliable at all. Just days after OpenAI released Sora to ChatGPT subscribers earlier this month, the video generation tool in ChatGPT went down for hours, while a widespread outage affecting AI tools brought down ChatGPT in June. So you know what that means, Jess? It is as reliable as the sun coming up in the morning and going down at night. It is not really. It's just not. Meanwhile, AI wants to be like Dr. Dolittle. It wants to talk to the animals.
I think that would be nice, but also creepy.
Now, can you imagine little Phoebe Buffet sitting there next to the computer and just chatting away?
Well, I mean, when I'm gone for an hour or two, it'd be nice if I had a little me robot to sit with her and pet her and make her feel happy.
Yeah. Wouldn't be too creepy for you?
It would be super creepy. Yeah, but I'd like it.
Yeah. Researchers are building an AI system that they hope will one day allow humans to understand the many languages that animals use to communicate with one another. Here's why it matters. Understanding what animals are saying could not only aid human knowledge of our world, but advocates say it might provide a compelling case for giving them broader legal rights. Nature LM, detailed earlier this year, is an AI language model that can already identify the species of animals speaking, as well as other information, including the approximate age of the animal and whether it is indicating distress or play. I suppose that helps if they're going to try to eat you or just want a ball thrown to them. I suppose that's good, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you can kind of tell this just by looking at your animal and the look that they give you.
Yeah, just being intuitive with them. I think
Yeah.
nice. Nature LM was created by Earth Species Project and has even shown potential in identifying the dialogue of species the system has never encountered before. Nature LM is trained on a mix of human language, environmental sounds, and other data. Nonprofit recently secured $17 million in grants to continue its work. I've just found the biggest bullshit industry to get into.
That's crazy.
$17 million in grants to figure out how your animal talks.
Oh, that's just wrong. We should use that for something a little bit more important.
I think we found a business to get into, Jess. God. Earth Species Project CEO Katie Zakarian said in a demo of Nature LM at the recent Axios AI Plus Summit in San Francisco, we are facing a biodiversity crisis. That we need to learn to talk to the animals? The situation we are in today is driven from a disconnection with the rest of nature. Well, then go out in nature. Put your computer down. You don't need to force your computer to talk to the animals.
I
Right?
just want to be in front of my computer 24 hours a day, Tim. Hook me up to it and put an IV in me for food.
She said, we believe that AI is leading us to this inevitability that we will decode animal communication and come back into connection. Translation in the broadest sense is something that generative AI has proven to be quite good at, according to this article. Sometimes that's translating from one human language to another, but these are animals. But the technology is also adept at transforming text from one genre to another. Do I want to know what an elephant is saying before it charges me?
No.
No. Other than get off my lawn? It's probably what it's saying,
Yeah.
right?
You only need to know so much.
Yeah. 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 Get off my lawn. You irritate me. Do you have food? Is that
Yeah. Do we want to know what like the cows and pigs are saying right before they're slaughtered? I mean,
no,
we don't want to know.
no. I hate you, human only translates so many ways. Yeah. So,
Hopefully they're saying, I wonder what I'm gonna have for dinner.
yeah. Yeah. Is it the same slop you gave me yesterday? I mean, come on. That just isn't. Okay. Meanwhile, if you have one of those robot fridges in your kitchen, well, guess what? It's getting smarter and it wants to kill you.
The last thing I need.
Yeah. You know, those ones with the screens that tell you you're running out of milk or your milk's gone?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those. Well, it turns out there's a rise of killer robot fridges as experts warn that kitchen appliances are getting smarter and they hate you. There's that.
Why?
Well, guys, program them and there's too much shit in it. You don't clean it out enough. Yeah. Take a
Too
walk.
much expired food.
Yeah, take a wash right and wash that shit out. The rise on super smart home appliances could soon start plotting against us, with people warning hackers could soon get access to personal information via fridges. As if we don't have enough information out there enough. Why do we have to put our passwords and our information in to get access to our refrigerator?
No, that's too much.
Fridges could lead a robot takeover of the world, at least according to this article. Almost all UK homes now have a refrigerator with an estimated 40. Well, they should have one. What are they storing their meat outside?
Out in the ice house.
Yeah, in the ice house. With an estimated 40 million fridges and freezers in the UK, experts, however, now reckon that as home tech gets smarter, with domestic appliances being hooked up to the internet and our phones, it could start soon plotting to overthrow us. Oh, that's good. I don't want my fridge walking up to me and hitting me in the head and taking my wallet. Some fridges have cameras which allow them to monitor what's inside them and order more food or drink to stock up automatically. Worries, however, have been raised that internet connected fridges could be targeted by hackers and that they could talk to other devices through Wi-Fi. People say, or experts say, hackers could log into fridges, accessing the email and bank accounts of owners, and even take control of cameras to monitor human activity or communicate with other smart devices like TVs or virtual assistants like Alexa. If the devices start speaking to each other, scientists believe they could plot our downfall by wreaking havoc with our online lives, targeting bank accounts, email, and online shopping. Speaking recently, Natalie Cramp, great name, partner at data firm J-Man Group, said that a Terminator-style takeover where humanoid robots take over, said it was everyday objects which were in danger of going rogue. She said anything is possible in the future, but we are a long way from robotics getting to the level where Terminator-like machines have the capacity to overthrow humanity. If we're speculating on what type of AI devices could go rogue and harm us, it's likely to be everyday objects. So she said self-driving cars and drones were the most likely to malfunction.
Which is why self-driving cars are terrifying. Like, would you get in one of those taxis that doesn't have a person driving it?
No, 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 no. I wouldn't let a self-driving taxi take me anywhere.
Yeah, but they're out there and people are using them.
Have you seen the new what is it? The new Ford Blue Drive or whatever it is, where in all Ford cars now you hook up your Bluetooth to the car.
No.
It takes over. It's supposed to be the competitor to Tesla.
How weird.
So you hook up the Bluetooth to the Ford, and it's self driving. It's supposed to drive you wherever.
And you can just like what? Sit back and read a book?
Yep. Sit back and let the car drive.
No, that's a terrible idea.
Let it take you wherever. Just off you go.
How's it gonna know like when a deer is coming at me or a beaver?
I don't know. Well, it supposedly uses its GPS navigation and sensors at the front
I
of the
don't
car
trust it.
in order to sense if there's some object in front of you. So
Don't trust it.
I don't either.
Never will.
Now the disclaimer says that you're supposed to be aware. You're not supposed to be reading a book or surfing on your phone or doing whatever during this.
But people will because people do that already.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
When they're supposed to be driving, they're on their phones.
Right. But you're supposed to be aware during the hands off part of the,
Yeah.
you're supposed to be in case something happens where you can take control of the vehicle again.
So
But
no more like distracted driving laws because your car is driving.
right, right. Don't be distracted at the so yeah, don't be distracted during the distracted driving phase of I don't know how that works.
It's too weird.
Yeah. I no.
We need time travel. We need to go back to 1985.
Yeah, whatever happened to time travel? Well, what happened to let's build a time machine. Let's
Yeah.
not do the self-driving car thing. I don't
Yeah,
trust it.
use your smarts for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to I'm done with I'm done with the self-driving car thing. I don't think it's not cute or funny. You know what I mean? I don't find that cute or funny.
No, and a car shouldn't be able to parallel park itself. We should all have to suffer through and struggle.
Right, right. The the thing that freaks me out the most, I guess, about self-driving cars is the fact that it's not 100% dependable. Like Google's vehicles are the most dependable by far in testing. So the when they've tested them, um, Google's had the least amount. The Google cars had the least amount of accidents. The one with the most amount of accidents has been Tesla.
Yeah. Yeah, anything that has to do with a computer because they're just so imperfect. And technology is fallible. And when you're talking about driving down a road and you're being driven by a computer, when something, you know, gets messed up, you're going to die.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I don't know what the safety rating is on a lot of this, but yeah, I mean, does the vehicle know to slow down and what the impact rating is of these different vehicles, things like that. I mean, you're in for some real danger, right?
Well, like even that kid in, was it, I think he was in Minnesota or he was in North Dakota, like right over by Fargo, and he couldn't stop his car
Yes,
because something inside of it stopped functioning. Some computer component stopped working and he could not stop his car. Like that's the kind of stuff we're going to see more and more of.
right. And then, like with the electric cars, they run on a lithium battery. The explosions of lithium batteries are 10 times bigger than a gasoline powered engine.
Yeah, that
I
kid
mean,
that just died a few weeks ago, just coming home, he hit a light pole or something and his car exploded. Like that's crazy.
yeah,
I don't like it. I just want to go back
yeah.
to the clunky big metal cars that we grew up with.
Let's go back to horse and carriages. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
You
that'd be
know,
great.
it when a horse and carriage went through the window of a store, nothing happened. That's all I'm saying, Jess. I'm
There
kidding.
was a lot of shit on the road though.
It's just a lot of shit on the road. We just need, but you know what? It creates jobs. So, someone would have to come along and clean the shit on the road. So just saying, we're creating jobs in the economy one at a time.
That's true. Okay, that's one way to look at it.
See, positive spin to everything here, Jess. We're just positivity central in 2025. That's what I'm saying. We're
I
starting out
like
the
it.
new year here, starting out on a positive note. We're creating jobs. See,
Glass half full.
glass half full everywhere, right? All right, let's move on. People are like, God damn you old people. Just embrace technology, you technophiles. Um, a terrified family is begging a council in England for a new house due to poltergeist activity. Now, we've heard of this before when it's come to different poltergeist activity in different cases. This family is maintaining that their council house is haunted by a ghostly presence that has left them unable to live there. The High Court in Ireland this time has recently been dealing with a rather spooky Christmas case concerning a council house that is said to be haunted by a poltergeist. Thomas and Louise Stokes have told the court that the house their family had been moved into to get away from a mold problem in their previous home had left them terrified because of paranormal activity. This activity reportedly included objects being flown from side to side and items being flung around. Doors, tables, and chairs were also seen moving around in front of their eyes. A letter from the house's previous occupant, described as beyond traumatic, was also presented at the hearing. Everyone deserves a home. I never asked for a mansion. I've asked for a safe home for my kids, said Louise. I just want somewhere safe for my kids 5 days before Christmas. In the end, however, High Court Mr. Justice Simons struck out the family's claim against Leitrim County Council because the case had been about their first house with the mold, not about the new one with the alleged haunting. Well, he stated that he understood their concerns about the safety of their children. He concluded that claiming for a third house would require a whole new application to the local authority. Whether the family will spend Christmas with their resident poltergeist, however, remains unclear. And like I said before, we don't have an update on the story as to where they actually did spend Christmas. So there you go. Our next story, Jess, is also about a ghost. The headline is, I live in a cemetery alongside corpses. My house is also a home to ghosts. A woman who is a practicing witch has revealed that she now chooses to live as close to the supernatural. She currently lives in a cemetery and says her house is also home to ghostly residents. A witch who lives in a cemetery with human corpses has revealed she now leads a paranormal supernatural lifestyle. Ren Harris is a qualified clinical aromatherapist, massage therapist, and Reiki practitioner, and she's been a witch for 26 years. The 41-year-old, so she's been doing this since she was 15?
Wow. That's finding yourself early.
Yeah. Who is from Leicestershire, explains how she's always felt more at home in supernatural settings, which is why she lives in a 3-bedroom house in a cemetery. Ren shares her home with her husband, 50-year-old Justin, and their children, and explains that she never turns away any visitor who's in need of help to locate the grave of a loved one buried near her home. To share her experiences with the supernatural, Ren runs an Instagram account under the name of @the Cemetery Witch. It's supposed to be cemetery, but it's a T instead of Terry.
Cemetery?
Cemetery. So, yeah, so cemetery, but with a T instead of.
That's weird.
Which has over 36,000 followers. When we first moved in, I felt the presence of a man in our bedroom near the fireplace and moving towards the window, almost like a piece of video playing out, Ren said. He was not aware of me and seemed to be going about his business. I also felt a presence near my bed and on several occasions, like someone was just standing there. We also had some activity in the lounge when we first moved in, some loud noises and bangs that had no source. All the activity seemed to stop once we settled. Recently, our youngest daughter had experienced something. She couldn't put it into words, but refused to sleep in the bedroom for about 6 months. Otherwise, our house has a sense of deep peace and things have largely settled now that we've been here a while. I was drawn to the space next to our house and initially thought it might be a small area for us to use, but it turns out that it's where babies are buried. Yeah, that's not an area for you to use if babies have been buried. No. Often they were buried without headstones in Victorian England because they were expensive and deaths among children were extremely common. I've had several miscarriages myself and feel protective over this part of the cemetery and wonder if that's why I was drawn to it, she went on to say. Although this would be alarming to most, Ren refuses to allow trolls who spread fear and hatred to affect her and is instead focused on making witchcraft accessible and challenging dangerous and outdated beliefs. There's always those people who go out of their way to locate witchcraft accounts and leave negative comments. Usually these people have closed private accounts and don't leave themselves open in the way that I do, said Ren. Sadly, most of these people are ardent Christians, she went on to say, who have warped views of witchcraft. Under a picture of a late friend who was prominent in the Druid community, someone on Instagram left the comment that he was now burning in hell. Well, that's not very nice. The irony was not lost on me that this person who was claiming that their way is the only way and that they are morally superior was the person spreading fear and hatred. They left a number of aggressive comments across my account, denouncing me as all kinds of evil, but I don't let these comments get to me. Wren's journey with witchcraft began when she found a book on the occult. When she was only 12 years old, she says that she immediately felt a sense of familiarity, like she had returned home. It has also allowed her to love and accept herself and strive to do better, and her parents were supportive of her newfound practice. She explained, when I was about 12, I found a book in my parents' loft called Cult and Occult by Francis King. It had been put aside to sell at a car boot sale. It covered topics such as sacred geometry, palmistry, and dowsing. There was a section on British witchcraft, and I was mesmerized by the photographs. There was something about them that seemed incredibly familiar, as if I'd gone home. Not long after this experience, I went on a trip to Avebury Stone Circle and West Kennet Long Barrow with my school, leaving me enchanted further. Between these two experiences, a whole new world had opened up to me, she went on to say. At about age 14 or 15, my mom paid for a subscription to a magazine called Mind, Body, and Spirit. It was a ring binder collection where you received a new candle or crystal or tarot card each week, and that opened my eyes further. As soon as I turned 18, I joined the Pagan Federation and the Children of Artemis, two organizations which helped me step onto my path properly and led me to start meeting other like-minded folk. In recent years, I've written for witchcraft magazines and websites, reviewing books in witchcraft, and been involved in the pagan community, both online and in person. Wren tries to incorporate witchcraft into her daily routine. She explains, our house is extremely cold, so I currently start the day with a cup of something hot, stirring in good vibes and setting my intentions for the day. I usually light some incense and a candle and set about the tasks of the day. Often we'll get a knock on the door for cemetery business, delivery men trying to find our address, or people trying to locate graves. When my husband comes home, we have a cup of tea together and make dinner, which again involves a bit of magic in its preparation. Many of my daily rituals and tasks involve some form of witchcraft. Each waking moment is a chance for intention in setting an opportunity. Each waking moment is a chance for joy and celebration. She says that it gives her life more meaning and allows her to be completely authentic. Witchcraft is a lifestyle for me, Wren says. It is my beliefs, my attitude, my practices. It's an opportunity for me to stand in my authentic self. It's an opportunity to embrace the turn of the wheel and celebrate the deep meaning of the seasons as we navigate our way through the year, deepening our connection to nature. These celebrations add context and meaning to life and the passing of time. This path has helped me love and accept myself as an individual, made me strive to do better, and truly embrace the important things in life. Wren is also extremely passionate about helping other witches on their spiritual journey and challenging negative perceptions of witchcraft. I'm passionate about witchcraft and would love to team this with the enthusiasm of others starting out on their path, she went on to say. I'd really like to help and inspire new witches by sharing what I've learned, by releasing my own personal grimoire, and mentoring in some way. I feel I've stepped into the crone aspect of my life and witchcraft journey, and it is now time to widen the circle by sharing my experience and my knowledge. She also went on to say, I am passionate about educating others on the topic of witchcraft, making it accessible and dispelling myths, and I feel sorry for people who are driven to spend their time judging others. I truly wish the best for them and hope they can find a kinder way in their treatment of others moving forward. I think that we are very lucky in the UK, and that we are more likely to be laughed at for calling others witches rather than being persecuted, which is absolutely brilliant. But I do think there is some element of not being taken seriously. Wren also offered some advice for those who are interested in witchcraft or leading a more spiritual life. What drives many pagans is a deep love for nature and the desire for self-development, she said. We're also a very friendly bunch that love a good celebration. Buy some books on the subject, maybe approach some experienced witches for advice and get a reading and practicing. Embrace who you are and don't compare you or your journey to others. The truth is that the learning on this path never stops, and that's the beauty of it. So there you go. That's the story of Wren. There's a haunted hotel out there that's for sale, Jess. And if you got a few pennies, I think you might be able to own it.
Ooh. I would love to own a haunted hotel, but I wouldn't want to have people staying at it. I just want it all for myself.
Just want it all for yourself, huh? No tour groups or anything?
I mean, maybe occasionally, but mostly just for me.
Yeah. Well, the 1886 two-story hotel in Ballinger is looking for new owners to take over the haunted attraction. The activity never stops at the Old Park Hotel in Ballinger. Where is Ballinger? It's in San Angelo. From full body apparitions to cold spots, a century old hotel is a hot spot for the paranormal. For nearly 9 years, Connie and Dan LaFave have operated the paranormal venue from hosting tours and overnight stays to being featured on the Travel Channel. We've had many different fascinating people during this time from all over the U.S. and even England and Australia come visit and also film here, Dan said on Facebook. We've brought life back in this old building from the ages. The building venue has also been featured in so many different places, Dan went on to say. On December 17th, Dan took to social media saying they were officially entertaining buying purchase offers. The new owner would be able to carry on business as normal from here on out, as to set a new transition, and any bookings that have already been made or events set in 2025, they would still be honored, according to him and according to the Post. The couple said they have received several offers already. Soon we will determine who the new owners of this great place will be, a post from the hotel stated. We know that if we do decide to sell it to them, they will most certainly do special things like we have done in carrying it all forward and honoring what we have done personally and for what this historic and paranormal venue really is. The couple will be looking at offers until the end of the year. I think we're already there, being that it's the first. If you still have an offer, get it in right now. Email any potential purchasing offers to the old OLDE Park Hotel at yahoo.com. We do love the building and everything that it has per its rich history and its paranormal. Dan posted, Connie and I are ready to transition to something else in our lives. And it's hard to sell, but we both have decided to do this, he went on to say. It is a beautiful old hotel when you go and look at the pictures. I've seen this somewhere before. I mean, other than television. I know I've seen it on the Travel Channel.
I'm trying to pull it up, but I'm not sure I'm seeing the right one. Do you have it on your
Yeah, I have
iPad?
a.
Okay.
In fact, this is the front of it. Do you remember seeing the front of it? I think it might have been on Ghost
Hmm.
Adventures.
It does look familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm remembering it from Ghost Adventures, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I bet you are. It's kind of funny looking.
Yeah, but it's San Angelo. It must be San Angelo, California, I'm thinking. Oh, no, no, no. It's Texas. San Angelo, Texas.
Yeah, Texas, Texas.
San Angelo, Texas.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's for sale.
I hope someone who loves ghosts buys it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope so too. So with that, we have the top 10 paranormal stories of 2024. As according to unexplainedmysteries.com. Number 10, a video shows a motorbike rider passing through a ghost in the Philippines. The peculiar incident saw rider Carl Saudagas seemingly ride straight through a mystery figure in the road.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. Number 9, family experiences paranormal activity after a non-human crashed in their yard. A family who reported that an object had crashed in their yard last year has since been plagued by paranormal experiences.
Well,
Yeah. Number 8, a cursed painting strikes again after a spate of mishaps for the new owner. As a matter of fact, that owner is a friend of mine on Facebook and Instagram. An allegedly cursed painting that was sold at a charity shop back in August of 2023 has changed hands several times. You know what? I have to get a hold of her and see if she still has that painting.
mm.
A drone captures footage of a mysterious figure at Cannock Chase. That's number 7. A woman dressed in white was spotted standing among the trees in this infamous area of rural England. Number 6, a ghostly figure filmed watching a group of friends from outside the house. This actually happened not too long ago. An eerie video showing a creepy, unnerving figure dressed in white has recently gone viral on social media. The fifth story, paranormal story of uh, of 2024 is an eerie figure in Runner's Hawaii footage sparks night marcher rumors. Have you heard of the night marchers?
No, that's a new one to me.
We covered this, I think, in the first couple of years of the show. The night marchers are extremely terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. An ultra marathon runner unwittingly encountered a mysterious figure during a 100-mile race in a Hawaii rainforest. Yeah, the night marchers. I'll have to see if I can get a guest on to talk about that again, because that phenomenon is eerie. Number 4, Andrew Lloyd Webber once had his home blessed due to a poltergeist. The composer and impresario claimed in a recent interview that his former abode had been haunted by a mischievous ghost. That is the number 4 story of the year. Number 3, ghosts may die after a lifespan of 100 years. I think you might remember this. Do you remember the story? Were you on for the story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brian Sterling Vet maintains that intelligent paranormal entities may actually have a limited lifespan. I find that one a little controversial because I think we've encountered ghosts from, like, say, Gettysburg, which are a little more than 100 years.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Hunter claims to have filmed the spirit of a wolf on his trail camera. That's the number 2 story of 2024. Something strange was recently picked up by a hunting camera set up in the forests of Newport, Washington. And the number 1 story of 2024, an eerie ghostly face shows up in a photograph of a dark attic doorway. A very eerie spectacle was recently captured on camera at the dark and foreboding entrance to someone's attic. And those are the top 10 paranormal stories of 2024. All right, so now we're going to get into some predictions. We had a couple of stories here, kind of grease the wheels here of the predictions of 2025. And I'll give you a chance to think here, Jess, as to what your last 4 predictions of 2025 are going to be. Put your psychic cap on here.
All right, I'll try.
We'll get to the predictions for first Nostradamus, which we know he died hundreds of years ago, but he's still making predictions. I don't know how this happens. So what did Nostradamus predict for the year 2025 and beyond? Well, we take a look at some of the events that Nostradamus himself believed will come to pass next year or this year. Michel de Nostradamus, who lived in 16th century France, so you know the predictions are fresh. I say that facetiously. Was so well known for his predictions of the future that his name has become synonymous with the idea of prophesizing future events, through his quatrains, of course. Whether or not you happen to believe that any of his predictions have actually come to pass, there are still many who continue to heavily debate and scrutinize his writings to this day. So what did Nostradamus have in mind for 2025? For the UK in particular, the seer predicted that there would be a double dose of trouble in the form of some sort of war, or rather surprisingly, a return of the plague. Here's the quote from the quatrain. When those from the lands of Europe see England set up her throne behind, he wrote.
Ooh, that's it?
That's it. Her flanks, there will be cruel wars. The kingdom will be marked by wars so cruel. Foes from within and without will arise. A great pestilence from the past will return. No enemy more deadly under the skies.
That sounds not good.
No.
I hope he's wrong.
Elsewhere in the world, he predicted that great powers will clash and a decrease in the influence of established Western countries and the emergence of new world powers. On the plus side, he also predicted new breakthroughs in medical science, noting that there would be significant improvements in illness prevention and treatment. He also suggested that a lengthy ongoing war would come to an end in 2025. It says, could this be a sign that the war in Ukraine will stop? Well, I don't know if that's the war that he's talking about. Maybe it is.
Hard to say.
Through long war, all the army exhausted so that they do not find money for the soldiers. Instead of gold or silver, they will come to coin leather, Gallic brass, and the crescent sign of the moon, he wrote. Some believe that Gallic brass and crescent sign of the moon are references to France and Turkey. Beyond 2025, Nostradamus made reference to some sort of asteroid strike. From the cosmos, fireball will rise, a harbinger of fate. The world pleads, science and fate in a cosmic dance, the fate of the earth, a second chance, he wrote. He also predicted floods and volcanic eruptions in Brazil, as well as floods elsewhere in the world, possibly due to rising sea levels. Exactly when that might be, or if it will even come to pass at all, however, remains unclear. That's the thing with quatrains from Nostradamus. There's no exact year on them. He just wrote them for the future, and then we apply them to each year and say, oh, it could happen.
Right. And we kind of apply them in a, like, trying to make sense of things sometimes, I think. So I don't know how predictive they always are.
Yeah. So now the living Nostradamus has come out and made 7 eerie prophecies for 2025. If you're ready for these, Jess. The one we call living Nostradamus has spoken once more. Athos Salome, who is a Brazilian prophet who once claimed that he predicted COVID-19, the death of the Queen, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, has shared with the Daily Star his predictions for 2025. Let's see how accurate he may be. I love the skepticism. It's dripping off of me right now. And they promise to shake up the global perception of science, technology, and spirituality. Known for his impressive accuracy rate, it says here. I say that with sarcasm. Salome outlines a panorama that mixes audacious technological advances and dark secrets that have finally been revealed. So here is Athos's predictions for his, or in his own words below. Athos predicts that 2025 will be the year when clandestine genetic experiments come to light, exposing genetically modified human beings using technologies such as CRISPR and cloning. Scientists and governments and corporations have been quietly creating perfected individuals, smarter, stronger, and more resistant to disease. Focus on Asia. Salome suggests that the first cases will emerge from Asian countries, leaders in biotechnology. The ethical impact. The revelation could generate a global moral crisis with debates about inequality, human rights, and the very meaning of being human. A new elite, these improved humans, could usher in an era of genetic inequality, further separating social classes. Here's the part that gets a little lengthy. Artificial intelligence out of control, the digital apocalypse. According to Salome, AI, or artificial intelligence, will reach a point of no return by 2025. A global incident could expose the autonomy of these technologies, which in some cases have already developed rudiments of self-awareness. Autonomous AI systems will be able to make irreversible decisions in sensitive areas such as cybersecurity and transport. The big question, how will humanity respond when it realizes that it has lost control over its own creation? Ooh, scary.
Ooh.
He makes predictions about extraterrestrial life, truth or chaos. According to Athos, 2025 will be the point of time when the authorities start to officially declare existence of ET, offering proofs of microbial life on Mars or other more complicated civilizations. Strategic silence. Some governments, like that of the US, Russia, and China, hide information with a view of causing a global upset. The private initiative. Some bold firms today could set the pace in revelations. Firms such as SpaceX, headed by Elon Musk. Spiritual revolution. All religions as well as philosophical systems will find themselves in an unprecedented position to cope with this new condition. He says there's a manufactured energy crisis, the great power play. A global energy crisis, says Salome, will be used as a means of control by 2025, while one can see inventions like the generators of zero-point energy, they are still concealed in some way. Well, that's not much of a prediction. I mean, that's kind of already gone on. Economic manipulation, great powers, therefore, will utilize a crisis to reassert the relevance of fossil fuels to the global community. Impact of emerging economies with the ongoing globalization, those countries that are in the developing world will be hardest hit, hence exacerbating inequalities. Environmental pressure, ecological movements may be interpreted as revolutionary, but they will not lack resistances. And I think this is the second to the last one. Population control by subdermal chips, the future of vigilantism. Salome warns that subdermal monitoring technology, such as implantable chips, will become commonplace, masquerading as advances in health and security. Mass surveillance, governments and companies could use them to track and suppress dissent. COVID-19 is a prelude. The pandemic has prepared the ground for greater acceptance of control measures. Civil resistance, human rights organizations can lead in opposition, even though they face hostile scenarios. He also talks about manufactured climate disasters, the hidden hand in climate. Athos predicts that geoengineering will cause unprecedented climate disasters, such as hurricanes and droughts in unexpected places. Climate as a weapon, weather manipulation technologies may be used for military and economic purposes. Irreversible impacts. The debate on environmental ethics will reach a critical point. And revelations about secret military operations, underground bases and technologies such as gravitational propulsion will finally be exposed. Salome predicts that leaks about the secret military operations will bring to light the true reach of global power. Futuristic weapons, direct energy systems are already in use by clandestine operations. And public shock, the revelations could trigger global protests against militarization and the lack of transparency. So with all this in mind, Jess, all this fire hose I just fired at you,
It's a lot.
you have 4 more predictions. You can go anywhere. You can go entertainment. You can go global politics,
Okay.
economy. You can go anywhere.
Okay. Well, I did jot some down
Okay.
earlier.
Okay.
Um, and one of them, I do think that there is going to be an increased number of paranormal encounters or phenomenon reported, some UFO, even more ghostly encounters, maybe more Bigfoot sightings, stuff like that. And I feel like it's going to be more mainstream media is going to pick it up more often than it has in the past.
Okay.
I think AI is going to get out of control. I'm going to mirror what you just talked about because I feel like there's going to be some serious issues, particularly with like deep fake stuff, and that um, there's going to be a lot of chaos around that and people not knowing what to believe anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
And I feel like that will bring a focus of people trying to come up with some like legislation to control it a little bit.
Okay.
I did put that I think Russia will stop attacking Ukraine. Um, but also that feels like not a permanent solution.
Okay.
And I think there's going to be like turmoil with the royal family, and I feel like it has to do with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I always feel like she's like going to leave him or something.
Really?
I
So,
do. I don't know why. It
so
feels so temporary to me. And then people are probably going to hate me for saying that, but it has the whole time. I feel like Lizette's going to pop. Yeah, and I have one for you and I. I feel like Darkness Radio is going to level up in 2025.
okay. Well, let's put
So
that in.
I'm adding an extra one. I think that makes me at 6.
All right. Excellent. All right. Let me see. 1 through 5 for me. Want me to make a really bold one?
Yeah.
I got this gut feeling. People are going to laugh when I say this. I think the Minnesota Vikings are winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, I hope you're right. I have a good feeling about him too, Tim. Eee.
I really do. It didn't, it's weird how things are aligning, but I think my number one in early 2025, I'm writing this down, Minnesota Vikings win the Super Bowl in early 2025. And people are going to laugh me off the planet
Until it happens.
until it happens. Um, in the only reason I wouldn't have said that two even 3 weeks ago, but it's just something about the way that Sam Darnold is leading the team and the way the
Yeah.
team rallied around him and the way they celebrated after that Green Bay Packer game. There's something that changed in that locker room dynamic. And if you watched the locker room dynamic when he came in after Tom Brady had given him the LFG award in his post-game interview, and when he came in and everyone kind of showered him with water, and if you sat and you watched, particularly Kevin O'Connell, and he kind of looked back like a proud papa, like
Hmm.
finally this team has come together.
Yeah.
They're all on the same page. They're all in it together. They're all fighting for each other. We're there. They get it. Like everyone,
Yeah.
we're all on the same page. There's something about this team that's not 1998. There's something about this team that's not 2002. There's something about this team that's not any other Vikings championship team. The only thing standing in their way is the Detroit Lions. If they can get past the Lions, I think they do it.
Right. I love this. This is a great prediction.
So I think that's number one. Number two, I want to say, and I don't think Catholics are going to like me about this. There's huge news surrounding the Pope
Oh.
this year, and it's not good. So I'm going to say it's either illness,
Hmm.
illness or death surrounding the Pope this year in 2025. Third one, I also believe there's something having to do with Russia and Ukraine, but people aren't going to like it either. I think Russia absorbs the Ukraine
Mm.
in 2025. I think an okey doke happens.
Mm. Oh.
Yeah, and it's going to be the start of a major scale war in the European theater.
Neat.
Yeah. So I will say Russia absorbs Ukraine. And I think that the United States becomes more isolationist. In other words, we turn a blind eye to it.
I can see that. I mean, maybe that's why it feels to me like Russia stops attacking Ukraine, but it feels like shaky. Like there's something weird about it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Yep.
Hmm.
I think that whole thing, there's a reason why when you hear that quatrain of a war ending, well, the war ends because um, we stop funding Ukraine, I think is what happens. We stop funding Ukraine. Ukraine doesn't have any more weapons or doesn't have any high tech weapons. And Russia is being funded and helped by Korea and China. Or not Korea and China. Korea and North Korea and Iran. So I think that's essentially what happens is they
Yeah.
boost and Ukraine stops getting the boost from us and it's essentially over. So that's number three. Russia absorbs Ukraine. Number four, and that potential start, and I'll just put potential start of a world war.
Yeah.
Um, Number 4. I always put this in here, I think every year, but I will say, because there's always so many deaths in Hollywood, but I will say major movie icon dies this year.
Mm.
And it's going to be prematurely. So, major movie icon dies prematurely.
Please don't let it be The Rock.
I'm not making it him. Um, and it's going to be tragically.
Mm.
And let's see, what would number 5 be? Number 5, as much as you guys aren't going to like it, number 5 is the start of a recession for the U.S. economy in 2025.
No.
You know, you guys don't want to hear it, but um, that's I'll put that in there for number 5. So those
Yours are depressing, Tim.
I just those are, that's just what hits me for 5 things. We'll see how close I am.
Yeah. It'll be fun to see if the terrible things you've predicted come to pass.
Well, for Packer fans, number 1 is horrible.
That's the best one for me. I'm excited about that, but
It truly would be the end of the world for Packer fans if number 1 came.
yeah, it would be.
Yeah, because you'd never hear Minnesotans shut up. Oh, yeah, we won one now. Yeah. So there you go. So there you go. I'm interested for our listeners. If you have 5 predictions for the upcoming year, I want to hear them. Send them to me, tim@darknessradio.com. Tell you what, we'll read them next week on the show.
Fun.
I want to know what 5 predictions you have for the upcoming new year. Because we didn't really even open it up last year to predictions for this year. But I think it'd be fun to hear what predictions you have for next year or for this
Yeah, I would love that.
coming year. So throw them out there. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be politics, entertainment, sports, you name it, world theater, whatever you got. Just first 5 things off the top of your head. Boom, throw them out there. Send them in. We want to hear from you. So there you go. Okay. Interesting cryptozoological news story that's been sent in by many people this week. 2 Oregon men die from exposure in a forest after they went out looking for Sasquatch on Christmas Day.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. I mean, Merry Christmas. Let's go look for Sasquatch is not something that's ever been brought up in our family.
No.
2 Oregon men were found dead in a Washington state forest after they failed to return from a trip to look for Sasquatch according to authorities on Saturday. The 59-year-old and 37-year-old appeared to have died from exposure, according to the Skamania County Sheriff's Office on Facebook. The weather and the men's lack of preparedness led the office to draw that conclusion. Sasquatch, according to the article on CNN, is a folkloric beast. Sorry, you squatchers. Thought. Spoiler alert. Thought by some to roam the forest, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. The 2 men were found in a heavily wooded area of the Guilford-Pinchot National Forest, which is about 150 miles northeast of Portland. A family member reported them missing at around 1 a.m. on Christmas Day after they failed to return from a Christmas Eve outing. 60 volunteer search and rescue personnel helped in the 3-day search, including canine, drone, and ground teams. The Coast Guard used infrared technology to search from the air. Authorities used camera recordings to locate the vehicle used by the pair off Oklahoma Road near Willard, which is on the southern border of the National Forest. So, unfortunately, they did not come back from their Christmas excursion looking for Bigfoot.
That's so sad.
Speaking of, again, from Unexplained Mysteries, top 10 cryptozoological stories of 2024. Number 10, a mystery Bigfoot-like creature terrifies visitors to England's South Downs. Several witnesses claim to have had an encounter with what has been described as a growling bipedal creature. Number 9, a large mysterious creature picked up on sonar in Loch Ness. A veteran Loch Ness skipper and his colleague recently picked up something very strange on sonar. Number 8, a short clip of a strange werewolf-like creature going viral on TikTok. The footage shows an unidentified dark-colored creature moving in a particularly eerie and unnatural way. By the way, the Wolfman comes out on January 17th. I don't know if you know that.
Ooh, Ooh, I want to see that.
Number 7, filmmakers capture footage of an alleged creature in Lake Champlain. The drone footage appears to show something strange submerged in water in one corner of the frame. Number 6, a 25-foot humped creature filmed moving across the surface of Loch Ness. A veteran Nessie hunter has captured footage of something strange moving across the surface of the loch. Number 5, campers call cops after seeing a 5-foot creature with glowing eyes. Deputies arrived on the scene in Kisatchie National Forest after a group of campers reported a very strange sighting. Number 4, a man discovers mysterious footprints in a remote Kentucky woodland. The alleged Bigfoot prints appeared to have been left by someone or something that wasn't wearing any shoes. The number 3 story, cryptozoological story of 2024. Number 3, 2 mountain hikers photograph a mysterious humanoid in Colorado. The human-like shape was spotted far up a cliffside in Long Peaks, Rocky Mountains National Park. Number 2, scientists analyzed cameras used to capture the Cottingley fairies. In 1917, 2 young girls claimed to have photographed real-life fairies in a small village in England. And number 1, a zoo asks for help identifying a mystery creature with wings and horns. The Bristol Zoo Project recently captured a trail camera image of strange creature with some unusual features. So those are your top 10 cryptozoological stories for 2024. We also have one other list here, which is the top 10 modern mystery stories of 2024, according to Unexplained Mysteries. Number 10 is a mystery object thought to be Amelia Earhart's plane that had been identified. The object had been picked up on sonar and was thought to be the wreckage of the famed aviator's plane. Number 9, the mystery as a couple was found washed up on the graveyard of the Atlantic. A couple who had been attempting to sail across the Atlantic had been found dead in a washed-up lifeboat. Number 8, the mystery as a man dies on a beach after performing a black magic ritual. I remember that story. That was an eerie one. A 65-year-old man had been found dead on a beach in Spain after conducting some sort of strange ritual. Number 7, the mystery that surrounds the disappearance of bodies on Mount Everest. Questions have been raised over the vanishing of bodies of 2 prominent British explorers from the mountain. Number 6, a young boy survived unscathed after a fall from a 16th floor window. The 4-year-old, who hails from France, not only survived the fall, but somehow also avoided any serious injuries. Number 5, a self-professed time traveler offered predictions of the future. A popular social media user has been making various predictions about what will come to pass in the near future. Number 4, a man vanished without a trace while seeking a vibrating cave near Area 51. The disappearance of Kenny Veach still remains a topic of debate and intrigue almost 10 years on. Number 3, Google Maps image appears to allegedly show a large door in the Antarctic ice. The controversial image was recently picked up by news outlets after being shared on social media. Number 2, psychic looking for a man's missing daughter finds human remains. The psychic discovered the skeletal remains of a person behind a bowling alley, but there was a twist in store. And the number 1 story, mystery story of 2024, The mystery of a plane that vanished in 1971 has been solved after 53 years. The private jet and its passengers had vanished without a trace, leading to decades of fruitless searches. And those are your top 10 modern mystery stories of 2024. All right, we have 2 more stories left in today's supernatural news. Jess, I don't know how to put this without just being blunt, so let's just be blunt.
Okay.
Horny scientists at the beginning of the year are now saying sex in space dolphin style is the new frontier, as they're calling for Snuggies, straddling, and Velcro. I think there's just freaky scientists out there that aren't getting laid. I think that's all this is.
I think you nailed it.
I think they're trying to nail it. That's what's going on here. They're claiming that human couples could soon be giving birth in space to babies. More than 675 people have traveled to space, but according to NASA, none of them have had sex in the final frontier. They want to change that. Experts believe that this will soon change as more civilians pay commercial spaceflight companies such as Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin and Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic to venture into space, albeit for a hefty price. So while you're paying out that money, why not get your groove on? That's what they're thinking. With this new era of spaceflight, physician, astronaut, and space sexology expert Dr. Shauna Pandya has revealed specific moves and technologies designed to provide an out-of-this-world experience. I think Shonda has been tied up for too long, too, on this planet. She suggested trying dolphin style to overcome the challenges of low gravity. Dolphin style. This is new to me. Dolphins are in kind of a neutral buoyancy environment, Dr. Pandya explained on Scientific American's Science Quickly podcast. When 2 dolphins are trying to mate, a third dolphin comes in, takes one for the team, and holds a partner in place so the 2 dolphins can successfully mate. That is more than I've learned throughout the entire podcast today.
In 19 years.
Yeah, in 19 years. That's what I've learned. Other experts in the field have also proposed Velcro suits to keep couples from drifting apart, or even a specifically designed suit that fits 2 people. So in other words, they want you to stick together without getting sticky.
Oh.
Dr. Pandya said there is good reason for researchers to get serious about testing some of these strategies and investigating others. More people are going to want to go to space for fun, for leisure, and for pleasure. We need to think about how we approach sexuality, sexual health, and reproduction in space in a way that is very considered, mindful, inclusive, and ethical, she said. While NASA doesn't explicitly ban sex in space, its astronaut code of conduct calls for relationships of trust and professional standards to be maintained at all times. The space agency has also banned any married couples from going into space altogether, although this is mostly due to group dynamics rather than worries of them, getting it on. But the issue to why astronauts are not copulating could be low gravity inside the International Space Station. This now has me thinking about fluids bouncing off of walls.
Ooh, so gross.
Yeah, I know. So we need to think about Newton's third law of physics, Dr. Pandya explained during the podcast. I just did. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, including thrust, right? You need to be able to figure out the mechanics of how you're going to stay entwined in order to be able to actually successfully copulate. There's people who thought about that, she added. One such person is the late Vanna Bonta, the American actress and inventor who designed the 2-suit in 2006. It's like a Snuggie for 2 people, but they get to bind together. Dr. Pandya explained. The 2-suit is a flight suit with a large front flap that can be opened and attached to another 2-suit using Velcro straps. It can also be fastened to a stable surface. Paul Root-Wolpe, who is a former NASA bioethicist, previously told DW.com, everything on the walls of the space station is covered in Velcro. So you could take advantage of that by Velcroing one partner to the wall. This sounds like an S&M deal.
I was going to say, it's kind of kinky.
A little bit, yeah. The roominess of the suit can be adjusted from within, and it is lined with inner harnesses that can be used to adjust the alignment of the wearer's bodies. It is even equipped with a quick disrobe function that removes the garments. Hi-yo! In 2008, the History Channel manufactured and tested the first two suit, calling it one small step for humankind colonizing the universe. But these futuristic sex suits have yet to be produced and utilized on a larger scale. Another forward-thinking space sexologist was German astronaut Ulrich Walter. Oh, good. Bring the Germans into it. I'm sure that's a good way of getting this kink up a notch or two. In the 1980s, he suggested that humans should look into the animal kingdom for inspiration on how to achieve sex in space. So then his suggestion is, why doesn't an astronaut take one for the team so they can do it dolphin style in the name of the greater good so we can copulate in space, Dr. Pena said. But it's not just low gravity that stands in the way. Dr. Adam Watkins, associate producer, or professor rather, in reproductive and developmental physiology at the University of Nottingham, previously told DailyMail.com that lack of privacy on space stations poses another challenge, as well as difficulty getting and maintaining an erection due to the blood pressure changes that occur while in space. What's more, having sex in space could come with serious consequences. If a non-civilian astronaut got pregnant in space, it would raise a lot of questions that experts are not currently sure how to answer. Can we mandate a termination of mission? Can we mandate a termination of that pregnancy if they're on Mars due to the health risks involved? There's so many ethical threads to pull on here, Dr. Pena asked. And those health risks could be life-threatening to both astronaut mother and her baby. DNA damage from the high levels of cosmic radiation is a real concern. Astronauts who spend 6 months in space are exposed to roughly the same amount of radiation as 1,000 chest x-rays, Dr. Watkins previously said. So you could give birth to the Hulk.
That's crazy.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Sci-fi movie in the making.
That's right. A pregnant woman and her developing fetus would also be exposed to that cosmic radiation while in space. This could be harmful to the embryos and fetus. A recent study conducted on the ISS found that mice embryos developed for 4 days on the ISS showed no signs of damage. But an earlier study published in 2020 conversely found that mouse embryos developed in space contain severe DNA damage. Likewise, since only a few people have gone to space, we don't have enough data to really know what the effects would be on an unborn child. Until recently, reproduction in space has not been a major priority for the different space agencies, Dr. Watkins said. Now what there are plans to colonize on the moon and even Mars, now we would populate other worlds, and that's become more of a focus and will need to be addressed if we are to establish, maintain, and grow human colonies off Earth. So in other words, bring it on, let's get it on, and let's see if we have Hulk kids. I don't know.
I think I just heard you volunteer to go to space, Tim.
Hey, why not? Right? All right, so your palate cleanser for today and our last story for the show has to do with a student who literally broke her jaw after biting into her jawbreaker candy. Which, hey, if you're going to space, you don't want to break your jaw, right? I'm just saying, just in case there's capitulating going on. The 19-year-old got more than she bargained for. Wait, she's 19 and she's biting into jawbreakers?
You kind of learn not to do that when you're 12, right?
Right. Yeah. So she bites down on a jawbreaker and breaks her jaw. Now, most people would have eaten or will have eaten a jawbreaker at some point in their lives. That hard spherical form of candy, known for being particularly challenging to consume. Of course, here's the answer. No offense, Canada, but sometimes your brain's a little frozen from winter. I'm just saying. But for a 19-year-old Canadian student, I'm reading Javaria and I'm reading student at the same time. My brain's a little frozen. For a 19-year-old Canadian student, Javaria Wasim, however, the name Jawbreaker turned out to be very much literal when she tucked into the 3-inch sweet recently. Hoping to crack the candy open, she bit down too hard, which turned turned out to be a mistake. Immediately, she felt an intense pain and quickly realized that one of her teeth had come loose. That's right. It didn't break. It came loose.
Ah. Oh, that's awful.
After it became apparent that she no longer could open or close her mouth without experiencing severe pain, her friend called an ambulance and she was taken to a local hospital. There, an x-ray confirmed that the jawbreaker had in fact broken her jaw.
What?
As advertised, Jess.
Oh, oh,
Truth in advertising, kids.
yes.
Trust them when they say it's a jawbreaker. I used to have them as a little kid. I've seen videos of people biting into the small ones, but I never seen anyone bite into the big ones. She told Kennedy News. Why would you do it?
You're an idiot.
She said, I bit into it and only made a hole and my jaw started to hurt. My friend looked over and said my tooth was chipped. It hurt bad. I was crying a lot when the ambulance came and everything was blurry.
Oh,
She got a goddamn concussion from it. Oh, Jesus.
insane.
In the end, she had to undergo a surgical procedure to have her jaw set and then fixed in place with metal wire that was needed to stay in place for more than 6 weeks. In the meantime, she's limited to consuming an all liquid diet, all because she took a big bite out of a big jawbreaker.
There's a life lesson for you, honey.
I think you should get a Darwin Award. Jawbreakers, kids, they work and not in the way you expect them to. So don't do it. And that is your palate cleanser. Because liquid diets, they'll cleanse your palate all day long.
Yeah, I could probably use a liquid diet after all that junk food I ate over the holidays.
She's going to lose a lot of weight.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah. 6 weeks of a liquid diet, you can cleanse everything.
Gotta break my jaw.
I don't do it that way. Yeah. No. I mean, you could just go to a friendly dentist and say, will you wire this shut for 6 months?
Just wire my mouth shut so I
Sorry,
can
that's
lose.
6 weeks, not 6 months. That's a little extreme.
Yeah.
It's 6 weeks, just 6 weeks. Well, I do the Kanye West diet. Just wire me shut for 6 weeks and I'll go cut a rap single that'll get me to #1. Start my multi-billion-dollar career.
Yes.
That's right. All right, coming up tomorrow on the big show, it's our anniversary show. So we're going to, we're at least going to cover the last year. We're going to talk about the last year in what's happened in the last year. It's been a big year. 2024 was a big show. So we're going to go over some of the highlights of the last year. We may even have a special surprise for you. We'll see.
I love surprises.
Yeah. So that's coming up tomorrow on the big program. We're going to celebrate 2024. We're going to celebrate the anniversary and talk a little bit about the year that was. And we'll move forward. We'll talk a little bit maybe about 2025, what to expect. Yeah. It's going to be an exciting year. Year 19 is going to be an exciting year.
I feel like it's going to be an exciting year.
And then think about this. 2026 is year 20. Already working on plans for year 20. So there's, we're going to do it up big going into year 20. So can't wait to tell you guys about it. Speaking of big plans this weekend, big plans for you, Jess.
Yes, we'll just be at the Palmer House having the best time ever, manifesting, doing art, writing, doing investigations. It's going to be fun. So we have I think a couple rooms that are still open, which is unusual. So yeah, if you guys want to come, you can get a last minute ticket to this one. So
That's right. If you want to do so, you may still be able to. Can they still go on the website?
yeah, you can still use the Darkness 40% off your ticket.
All right. So do that by going to the link in the description of this program. Jump on there, get your discount and go join Jess and Ghost Stories Inc. up there. at the Palmer this weekend. The trips are always so much fun, folks. A lot of fun, creative. Even if you say, well, you know what? I don't write, I don't paint, I don't do that stuff. That's BS. That's bull hockey. Because they walk you through it. There's people up there that are so wonderful. They're creative geniuses, and they sit you down. They bring that out of you. And you have so much fun. It's so much fun up there. I had such a great time last time. So I want you to go up there, experience it, manifest your 2025. Get it out of you. Get not only activity out of you, but manifest what it is you want, and do it while investigating the Palmer this weekend. So it's not too late. Get your tickets right now. Do it by going to the link in the description of this program. Go have yourself a wonderful New Year's weekend, and then go back to work refreshed and ready to go. Sounds like a plan.
Yes, I like that plan, Tim.
Absolutely. So tomorrow, anniversary show. And then, next week we got some big stuff too. So lots of good stuff coming up for 2025. So that'll do it. For Jessica Freeburg, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us for the best in paranormal podcasting. This has been Darkness Radio.
For more audio and video archives of the show, intriguing content, and cool swag, check out darknessradioshow.com. Thank you for watching, and tune in tomorrow for our anniversary show.